Welcome back. We're going to cover the distributive property, but we're going to apply it using some basic problem solving. So the first problem is eight times the sum of x and 7. Well, in this case, we don't know what x is, and that's okay because that's not what it's asking us for. All it wants us to do, if I tell you, is use the distributive property. And all I want you to do is simplify this expression, okay? So the first step is to take 8, because it's directly in front of the parentheses, and we're going to multiply it by x. So we write that as 8x, and that means they're together by multiplication. The plus sign comes down, and then we multiply 8 times 7, which is 56. Okay, that's your answer. Number 2 is going to be written as 2 times the sum of y plus 10. Okay, in this problem, what we're going to do is we are going to multiply the 2, which is directly in front of the open parentheses, times y. And we write that as 2y. Okay, and then we bring down this plus sign, and then we do 2 times 10, which is 20. And this is your answer. In algebra, you don't have to write a multiplication sign in between 8 and x because we just understand that that's what that means. If you see a number in front of the parentheses and there's no operation like addition or subtraction in between them, that automatically means you multiply. Okay? Problem number 3 says -2 times the sum of h plus 22. Okay, so I'm going to take -2 and multiply it by h, and so you can look at that as I'm multiplying it by h, so I know it's -2h, or you can remember that every time you see a variable that does not have a number in front of it, we always know there's a 1. So essentially what you're saying is -2 times that 1 is -2, and then we bring this h down. Okay, so there's 2 ways to think of it. So then I'm going to go back to this color, and we have plus -2 times 22. Negative times a positive is a negative. 2 times 22 is 44. So that's the process every time. Okay? Not really that scary. You just have to be saying it to yourself as you go, and that will help you. So I say -2h plus a, here we go. Okay. So, just like in a variable, whenever I see a negative sign in front of parentheses, I automatically know there's a 1 there. We don't need to write it. It's understood. But you can go ahead and stick it in there so you know what number you're dealing with. So I have a -1 times 2, which is a -2, and then I can just say that I bring that h with it. Okay? I bring this plus sign down. -1 times 8 is a -8. And that's my answer. Okay? Yes, I know some of you are saying, I want to write it as -2h minus 8. Fine, that works as well. Okay, I'm going to clear this so I have more room to work. We're still sticking with the distributive property, but now it's going to get a little more challenging because we have some negatives in here. So we have -6 times this difference of 5x and 14. So the big differences here is that now we're dealing with a subtraction sign, okay? So I'm going to show you 2 different ways to solve this. Option A is like we've been doing. So -6 times 5 is -30x. -6 times 14 is an 84. So we have -84, and then the subtraction sign comes down. Well, we can't have minus a negative. That's not proper, so we're going to make it a giant plus sign. Okay? Those are the same things. They mean the same things. One is proper, one is not. And this, my friends, would be your answer, -30x plus 84. Okay? Option B allows you to set it up like this. And this time, you're going to just, your first step will be to change your subtraction sign to plus a negative. Okay? Keep, change, change. So I have negative 6, sorry, I don't need to do that. I have negative 6 times 5, which is negative 30. And that x comes with it. And then I keep the addition sign. Negative 6 times a negative 14. I go over here and do my work. We know it's an 84. A negative times a negative is a positive. So we're already there. Okay, so you can opt for either of those. So if you want, you can pause this next one and try it yourself. That would be the best way to do it, probably talking to yourself as you go, so you really get these steps in your mind. This is negative 11 times the difference of negative 4x minus 20. And you have to be very careful about your signs. So if you want, you can pause it, and if not, you can follow along. So we have negative 11 times negative 4, and that's a positive. We don't need to write plus. That's a positive 44, because a negative times a negative is a positive, and I bring that x with me. Okay? Now, I like to change mine, so I'm going to go ahead with that route and change it to a plus a negative. And then I know that I can keep my addition sign, and I have negative 11 times negative 20. Well, I'm going to go off to the side and do my work. And I'm going to end up with 220. So I have 44x plus 220, and that's my answer. Okay, so really quickly, I want to introduce combining a two-step equation and the distributive property. We're going to do 2 of these types of problems. This is where it really gets challenging. Okay, in the first problem, I have 5 times the difference of 3x minus 6 equals 30. Well, on the first step, I'm going to use the distributive property. I don't want this color, thank you. Distribute is what I'm trying to write here. Okay, so 5 times 3 is 15, and the x comes with it. I change this to plus a negative. 5 times negative 6 is negative 30, and remember that this addition sign comes down. Okay, that's how I like to do it. And now we know on the other side it equals 30. Okay, now we're doing a solve a two-step equation, which we've been doing the last few days. So solve a two-step equation. Okay, so my first step will be, I'm going to subtract the 30 on both sides. I'll be left with 15x on the left, an equal sign in the middle, and sorry, this should be plus 30, and 60 over here. I see 15 times x. I want to do the opposite, which is division. So I'm going to divide using a fraction bar. If you need to come off to the side, go ahead and do this division over here, but not in your problem. So this goes in 4 times, I get 60. Okay, so my answer is x equals 4, and that's how you should work every single time. Your first step is either going to deal with addition or subtraction always. Your second step is going to deal with multiplication or division always. Okay, you have to remember that. Let's do one more. I'll rewrite it, so I'm going to clear the screen. And we were doing 21 equals 3 times the sum of x and 5. Okay, so the first step is to distribute, and I'm going to abbreviate. So 3 times 1x is 3x. I bring down my addition sign, and 3 times 5 is 15. And now I have to bring down my 21. Okay, step 2 is next step is in green. I'm going to solve using addition or subtraction. So I see addition, I do the opposite. I also do that on the other side of the equal sign. So 21 minus 15 is 6. Put the equal sign in the middle. The 3x comes down, and I am left with that. The last step is going to be either division or multiplication. Well, with my variable, I see multiplication, so I do the opposite, which is division. 6 divided by 3, well, let's pretend I have to go over here and do it. Okay, so we know what that is. It's a 2. My equal sign goes in the middle, and x is over here. Okay, so this would be your answer. If you want to go ahead and check, that would be lovely. Let's go ahead and do that. So we'll do parentheses first. 2 plus 5 is 7 times 3, which that equals 21. So come to class prepared. We're going to do a mixture of distributing practice, and then we're going to do a mixture of these more applied problems, putting it all together. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.